Hello and welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. I'm your host, Gabe Peterson, and this is the place investors go to gain actionable advice, learn about current market trends, and hear war stories from other professional investors out there in the field today. Before we get started, I have two quick housekeeping items for you. First, if you like this episode, we would very much appreciate a like, subscribe, and share. It is the best way to support the show and keep it running far into the future. Second, if you're a new investor looking to get started in real estate or an experienced investor looking to take your investing to the next level, I've created an ebook just for you that will cover how to find deals that are actually deals, how to finance those deals with little to no money down, and how to exit those deals for maximum value. On top of that, I throw in an insane amount of free bonuses that you'll have access to once you buy the ebook. All I charge is our admin costs to keep this show running. So if you're serious about real estate investing and want to create both active and passive income as an investor, head on over to the website at therealestateinvestingclub.com and click on the button that says get the ebook in the upper right-hand corner to grab yourself a copy. With that said, let's dive right in. Today we have a very special guest with us, ready to drop some investor knowledge on you. So buckle up, grab your pen and paper, and enjoy the ride. All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. Today we have with us Kent Ritter. Kent is the managing director with Burge and Held Asset Management, a multifamily private equity firm with over $1.4 billion in assets under management. Kent's skill set as a multifamily operator draws from a successful career as a management consultant and startup owner. Now he applies this skill set to transform apartment buildings and create modern, affordable housing for America's workforce. Love the intro. Super excited to jump into this. So Kent, thank you very much for hopping on the show today. How are you?
I'm doing great, Gabe. It's a beautiful Friday here in Indianapolis. We're starting to actually warm up a little bit, which is awesome. Hopefully I can get to the golf course sometime soon.
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
I know. Well, I'm knocking on wood right here. Okay. So we'll hope that it comes through, but I'm doing great and just happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Cool. Absolutely. As I said before the show, we always start with stories. We like to hear where people come from and how they got to where they are. So why don't you take us back to the beginning? How'd you get started in real estate in the first place?
Yeah. So you mentioned I was a management consultant. Part of that was starting a management consulting firm, and we sold that firm at the end of 2015. And that really kicked off my real estate journey because I had the capital from that exit, and it was, really, I was looking around saying, how do I want to deploy this? How do I want to, set myself up to continue to build wealth? I knew I didn't want to have all my eggs in one basket in the stock market. So I started looking at different avenues. And as I educated myself, real estate just stood out as kind of the no-brainer for diversification. So jumped into real estate in several different ways, several different kind of investing strategies. But just as things shook out and I continued to learn more and find some mentors and get some great advice. Multifamily was really what stuck with me and stuck out as the best asset class for me to be in. So really it started kind of through that journey. And, the other piece that I would layer in is just and this was really more catalyst for kind of selling the business and making the transition out of management consulting was just building a family. So with, we talked before, you're a former management consultant, you're on the road all the time, you're traveling. It's not a great life if you want to be a family man and you want to be around. So, my wife, got married, had a couple kids, and just started looking around and saying, what type of father do I want to be? What type of husband do I want to be? And I was actually so it was like Monday morning, getting ready, early morning at O'Hare, getting ready to fly out. And I have this kind of like vision of like my kids in the future. And it was like asking my daughter, so what do you think of your dad? She's like, well, he was a good dad, but like he was gone a lot. Right. And it was like this moment of panic of like, that's not what I want to be. And I started talking to people in the industry and maybe 10 years ahead of me, like, how do you manage the family? How do you do this? And the answers that I got just weren't good. They weren't satisfying. I didn't want to be those guys. So that really kind of set me off originally on the path, and then eventually led me, to change careers and find real estate. And in real estate, I've just discovered this passion that I love it. It's fun. Kind of a deal junkie. I love doing the deals. I love telling people about this. I love educating people and helping people get into these deals because the returns are just, better than on a risk adjusted basis, really anything else that I've been able to find out there. And I've invested in many different areas.
Perfect, man. I love it. And I like that you kind of started with values. I mean, here we always talk about real estate, and real estate's very numbers based thing. But when you're talking about why getting into real estate, that really does come down to your values. Maybe your current situation doesn't align with your values, and real estate does. So I love that you took the leap. You were in management consulting, didn't see it lining up with the type of life that you wanted to lead for you and your family. So you took the leap, you got into real estate. So love to have you here.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of different things we can go into your story. So I kind of want to start with technology. Management consulting is a great background for technology and using technology to manage your portfolio and enhance your portfolio. So I'm sure you have a really great perspective on this. Why don't you take us into your business currently? What are the big processes that you see benefiting the most from a specific software, a change in software, anything like that?
Yeah. So to give folks a little bit of context, so we have about 15,000 units across 10 states. It's primarily Class B garden style multifamily assets. Very much workforce housing as you describe it. And so just to kind of get the lay of the land, and what we've started within Virgin Held, we implement several different strategies, all related to multifamily, but including ground up development, tax credit deals, um, large kind of, massive value adds. We have a 940 unit property, and then we have more niche properties as well. More, and this is a newer strategy for us, where we're focusing more on what I would call small to mid-sized properties, consider 150 units and less, in more tertiary markets. And we've started to expand that because frankly, there's just a better return profile in those properties. There's less competition. I mean, there's a whole host of reasons why, but you can get higher returns. And but the problem with those properties, and one of the reasons you can get higher returns, is because there's less competition in that space, because frankly, they're just harder to manage than a 200 unit property where you can have professional management on site and all the economies of scale, right? So we saw that there was value there. We had to figure out how to unlock that value. And the way that we're unlocking that value is through technology. And the smaller property portfolio has kind of become the incubator within Virgin Held to test these things out. And then as we do that, and we have proof of concept, then we're expanding out to the broader portfolio to the full 15,000 units. So that's just to set context. A great example is, as we started through this process, and this is like a consulting thing, right? You have to figure out the problem you're trying to solve first. And so we started there and said, okay, what are our biggest problems? Well, one of our biggest problems is just, and it's kind of for every multifamily or really anyone that is operating any type of rental, is having vacant units, right? I mean, that downtime, that lost revenue is killer. And so we said, okay, how can we reduce that time? How can we more effectively, get people in and get people on tours and just more effectively rent units, right? Reduce that time. And so the use case that we defined is really, we wanted to create, and this was kind of started pre-COVID, but really was accelerated by COVID, was creating this idea of a contactless leasing process. So, so that's the idea, right? How do you let somebody from the very beginning of searching for an apartment on their phone or on their computer, all the way through signing a lease, do that on their own time, on their own terms, and without having to physically interact face to face with a person, right? Which became even more important during COVID, and still remains important. So what we did to enable that then was we went down this path and said, okay, what technology do we need? Well, the first thing, like the literal and metaphorical front door of all this, is a smart lock. You
Mm.
need a lock that you can control remotely, right? And you need to be able to control access to your property from afar. And so we're installed smart locks on our properties. We've done a handful of properties, and we're continuing. We have a plan through 2021 and 2022 to get them across our entire portfolio. But once you put the smart lock in, and the technology that we're using, because there's a bunch of different technologies out there, is called Bluetooth Low Energy. And the way that that works is really your phone becomes the hub. Your phone communicates with the lock
Mm.
via Bluetooth. And so if I wanted to let you say, I'm in Indianapolis, you're at one of our properties in Kentucky, I want to let you into a unit, I can send you a one-time code where you get the code, you hold your phone up to the lock, and the lock opens for you.
Very
And
cool.
so it creates huge management efficiencies, but also is kind of that beginning step to being able to allow people to come and view the property without you having to be there, without having to rely, well, having to take a property manager or a leasing person's time, without having to rely on their schedule, right? And to allow the potential resident to do it on their own time and on their own schedule. So from there, you layer on a few more pieces of software. One that was instrumental in this is a software called Tour 24, which is a self-guided tour product. So what this does is it actually creates a curated property tour. It's like, imagine like your best leasing agent giving their best pitch all day, every day, right? You can program that into your app. So, and there's geolocation beacons that we set up throughout the property. So it tracks the person. So they get the code, right? They can enter the property. If it is a property that has like, common area entrances, right?
Mhm,
They,
mhm.
they go in, and then via the geolocation beacons, it knows, for example, like, oh, this person's at the pool. So
Mm.
what comes up on their phone in the app is, welcome to the pool. Here's all the information about the pool. And it's actually professionally voice recorded. So
Very
they can
cool.
read it, but they can also hear it. So they're hearing it, it's multiple senses where they're able to engage with this, right? Um, and it really is a very cool experience. And so they're able to do that, and they're able to go into from there either a model unit. So they go to all the common areas. It takes them on a map through the property. They go to the unit that's available, or the model unit, and they're able to check it all out. They're even able to ask questions. They're able to, if they want to, through the app, like get connected to someone if they have potential questions. But we've gone through and tried to answer, like the top 50 most common questions. But if there's still something else, they can go. And then the final piece of, because of virtual leasing, they can actually sign up for a lease right there through DocuSign and get a lease signed. And they've never actually physically contacted a person. The other thing it's let us do is expand our leasing hours beyond when the office is open. Right. So we've expanded our leasing hours on a lot of properties until 8 o'clock at night. So people can come in after work and they can tour and they can do things on their own time.
Man, that is killer. I was just getting excited just listening to that. I've been looking for really good implementations of technology in real estate. There hasn't been a lot of innovations in terms of the people that I've spoken with, what they're doing with their
Mm-hmm.
properties, but
Mm-hmm.
that sounds great. I mean, that's contactless leasing. So you have the Bluetooth lock, which allows them to actually access the property. They don't have to go to the property manager. They don't have to say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I'm available 1 p.m. on Thursday. Meet me there. Somebody doesn't show up. They have to reschedule. 2 weeks pass by, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
They can just
Exactly.
go whenever they want. And then you have that Tour 24 app. So they have to be on the property in order for that to be effective, right? So that's not something that they're like looking at their phone from their couch and they're walking through the property. They are walking through the property, and it's telling them what's going on as they're passing through the different features of the property.
That's right. It's really meant for them to physically be on the property. It's tracking them through the property via the beacons. We have other. So kind of the other part of this is how do you get them in to want to do the tour, right? And that's
Mhm.
all the front end piece, and that's where they can be sitting on their couch and they can be virtually touring the property, right? And that's extremely important, especially for some of our smaller properties that are almost always 100% occupied. They can't come in and physically see a unit because we can't just have them come into a unit that's occupied. So you create a virtual experience for them to come in and get to look, feel, kind of touch virtually the unit. I think that's also a very important piece of expanding your leasing practices.
Wow, that's really great. So how do they, I mean, you say contactless leasing, I get it up to the point where you have to give them their keys, but this is a Bluetooth. It sounds like a lock that I haven't even experienced yet. It's a
Yeah.
Bluetooth lock. So they just have a code. They don't need a key, correct? You don't need to hand keys over.
No, so we actually do have a fob option because not everybody has a smartphone. Not everyone is comfortable using the technology. So we do have a fallback where instead of getting keys, folks get two fobs.
Okay.
And the fob just goes on your keychain. You hold it up and it opens if you want to use that. But yeah, I mean, it's great from a management perspective because when people move in and it's all integrated. So part of this is like the back end where we use a lot of RealPage products and all of these things I'm talking about. One of the requirements we defined on the front end was everything had to integrate with RealPage, which is our property management system.
Mm-hmm.
So it all works together. So if someone is signed up and they lease an apartment, well, it's set up then that, on the day that they move in, they're going to get access through the app, to the building,
Okay.
to their unit. So essentially you go behind the scenes, the manager can, and you kind of set up user profiles. It's like, okay, this person gets to go to the pool, the fitness center, the common door, and then apartment 201,
Oh,
but they can't
wow.
go in any other apartments. Right.
Interesting. Yeah.
Uh, so it's very easy to control access if you have, like, you think in the old days, well, really not the old days for us, the current for many is like, if you have to evict somebody, and you have to go and then you have to change the locks, right? You have to have somebody go, you got to change the locks, you take maintenance time, blah, blah, blah. All we do, you go in the app, you click it, and all of a sudden they can't get in the building anymore.
That sounds great.
And then you think about it from like, I have a friend who's a property manager, and he told me that like he carries a rekeying machine around in his truck because he's like I rekey. I have to do new keys every day. He's like, everywhere I go, new keys every day. I spend so much time creating new keys. Well, it doesn't have to do that anymore, right? You just go into the app, click it, and it's ready to go. And even if you have to do a new fob, it's literally just like hold the fob up to the tablet, it's activated and it's ready to go. So
Cool, man.
it is fantastic technology. I think it's something that's just going to become a requirement. I think it's going to be a standard that people expect.
Yep. Yep. I love it. So kind of a side note, I do like hearing why people choose the CRMs they choose, or the rent management software that they choose. So why did you choose RealPage over something like Rent Manager or, any of the other options out there?
Man, that decision was made prior to me, but I think that from my experience, it has the most functionality. It has the most it has kind of the most bells and whistles. I mean, we use almost the whole RealPage suite, and then I know from compared to others that the functionality just exceeds what others could do. When you have a portfolio of 15,000 units, you need something that can handle that scale. I think there's other products that are great if you're a smaller operator.
Mhm.
They're a lot cheaper, but it just doesn't have the bells and whistles, the integration, and all the additional functionality. And I think the good thing about RealPage is their model is they're just constantly evaluating the market, and they're acquiring companies that fit to like expand their services. So as they acquire, um, it creates that integration, and then we're able to just add on these additional services. So we've created a fantastic partnership with RealPage, and they've been really good partners with us. They've helped us kind of do a lot of customization and all these different things, and it's just become a really good relationship.
Perfect. I love it. And before, I mean, right when we started this conversation, you were talking about this really being a benefit to the smaller owners, people who are looking for, apartment units that are under 100, or I mean, even mobile home parks, RV parks, what I do.
Yeah.
So how do you see something like this benefiting someone who has a smaller portfolio. And you're talking about 100 unit buildings. How about somebody with 100 duplexes or something like that, or 50 duplexes?
Yeah,
How would you see?
well,
Yeah, keep going.
yeah, I mean, there's huge benefits there because the where this is going to benefit people the most is when they don't have on-site property management, right? So if you have 100 duplexes, you don't have on-site property manager. You have somebody that's traveling around to all these, right? The amount of time you're spending in the car um, is incredible, even if they're kind of in a tight geography. If they're not, then it just expands from there. So being able to control access remotely from your phone and let people in and out, let people tour and do all this, I mean, from the beach, wherever you want, will have incredible efficiencies for you and your management team.
Cool, man. I love it. You've sold me. I think everybody listening to this show will now be following that process. So we've already blown past the 20-minute mark though. So I got to push us into the quick question round. Are you ready?
Sounds good. Sure.
All right. It always starts with books. I'm a big bookie. So why don't you give me 2 book recommendations? One for, man, I lost my own script. One for general life wisdom and then one for real estate.
Yeah, general life wisdom, man, that's a good one. There's a lot of good books out there. I'll go old school. I Think and Grow Rich is still one of my favorite books. It kind of, I mean, if you are a fan of Tony Robbins or a lot of other kind of current personal development folks out there, you'll read this book and you'll realize where they got all that stuff from. So, I mean, it was written back in the 20s, and I mean, I think it just rings so true today.
Perfect. I love it. How about for real estate?
So for real estate, I think it depends kind of where you're at, but so I'll give 2 answers. From one of the books that I read when I was beginning my real estate journey is a book called Wheelbarrow Profits from a couple guys named Jake and Gino.
Gino, yep.
Yeah, and it's just a really it's a little. I think they may have done a revision. I think it was written back in 2016 or 17. So it's a little outdated when you start talking about 8 caps and things like that that don't really exist today. But just the concepts and the approachability of it and how they simply explain everything. I think it's a really good like beginner's guide. And then from more of like a master class, if you want to get to that next level, especially if you want to be an active operator, and especially if you want to raise money from other people and you want to syndicate, Joe Fairless's book, the best ever apartment syndication book, is something along those lines, is an awesome book. It's just full of like nitty gritty detail and information and like tactics that you can go and implement.
Yep, I think I have that as one of the recommended books on my website. So that's a great one. Moving on. So we all have stories, and we don't have the wisdom. We're not born with the wisdom that we have right now. So if you could go back to the Kent who was just getting started as a management consultant, had no idea about real estate, didn't see that in his future, go back to him, give him one piece of advice moving forward.
Man, just start investing in real estate right now. Like I wish I had started 15 years earlier. I mean, just don't worry about being a management consultant. Don't worry about traveling all over the country and doing that grind. Just start buying properties. Start house hacking. Buy duplexes, live in it, roll them until you got 5 or 6, and just go from there.
Yep, man, that same sentiment I think has been echoed by pretty much everyone who's been on the show. So if you're listening, watching, you have not jumped into real estate, just do it, man. Now is the time. You don't want more time to pass before you start. So moving on, we all have strengths and weaknesses. You are no different. So you have a Superman strength within you. This is an opportunity for you to brag a little bit, show your muscles. What are you really good at?
Man, that's a good question. It's like an interview question. I think that, so here's what I'll say is I've been complimented on this skill several times in my life and my career. And it's the ability to take complex topics and simplify them in a way so that everybody can understand them.
I love it. Yep. That is being able to take something complex and make it simple. I think it was Einstein who says, I'm not going to butcher that quote, but basically simplicity is golden. So that is definitely a strength.
That's right. I think that's, for me, that's a sign of a true expertise is if you can explain something in a simple way. If you have to rely on and we were both consultants, right? So like we know this game. If you have to rely on like jargon and all this complex terminology and this super long-winded answer, then like you probably don't really know it.
Know what you're talking about. That's so true. Um, Great. So moving on, habits, they're the foundation of our life. So if you could pinpoint one habit from your own life that you feel has contributed the most to your overall health, well-being, happiness, what would that be?
Yeah, that's a good question as well. I would say the one that immediately pops in is just meditation.
Mm.
So I try to meditate every day. I try to do it in the morning, and it's been something I've been doing for probably about 3 years now on a very steady basis, and it's had a major impact on my life and just as I've just gotten busier and busier, I mean, from a family side, having more kids, work side, my own businesses, transitioning into real estate, all this, starting podcasts, doing all these things. I find myself that I'm able to handle it better and stay centered and just manage through the chaos and be much more efficient because I'm able to like center every day and it just helps me focus on what's really important.
Yeah, I love that. So that is the one habit. I'm really big on habits, and I feel like I'm pretty good at them. But for probably 10 years now, meditation has been the habit that I want to master and have it done every single day. I've yet to do
Yeah.
it. It's probably a 70-30 habit for me, but one of these days I will get there to 100%.
Yeah, it's like even if you can only do like 3 minutes, even if you can just sit down and like do some breathing, I mean, it helps. It does help. Like it doesn't take a lot of time. Like when I say I meditate every day, I meditate for 10 to 15 minutes.
Yep. Yep. I love it. Um, And on to the second to last question. I lost my place. I should really have this on my main screen, but there it is. All right. So, United States, huge place, many places to invest. What area of the US right now are you extra excited about?
That is a good question too. I'd say, I mean, I think it aligns. Well, it's the reason why we're implementing one of the strategies that we talked about of finding these smaller properties in more tertiary markets. So I'm based in Indianapolis. So we are based in the Midwest, right?
Mhm.
And we still love the Midwest because you can find values in the Midwest that you can't find other places. So at the
Yep.
end of the day, we are value buyers. We're not chasing the hot markets. We don't want to we don't want to overpay. And if you're bidding against 30 other people, you're overpaying. If you win that, you've overpaid.
You
Um,
have a 3 cap.
yeah, exactly. So in the Midwest, we were able to build, I think, deeper relationships. We're able to just have knowledge of kind of localized knowledge that others don't, and we're able to have competitive advantages because of that. And so we're seeing great returns from our properties, our B class kind of workforce housing in the Midwest.
Okay.
And so I'd say, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, even down into Tennessee, we're investing and we're finding just really good opportunities.
Hmm. So I'm going to make this a not quick question, but so I've considered Cleveland before, but I've
Mhm.
been pushed away because many people say, around the Great Lakes is just not, the outlook is not great.
Mhm.
What do you think about Cleveland? Anything around the Great Lakes there?
Well, I can tell you right now that we are actively bidding on a property that is just outside of Cleveland in the suburbs. So,
There you
and
go.
the demographics are amazing.
There you go.
So what I would say is, lean in and go to those places where like swim upstream, don't follow everyone else. And that's where you're going to find the value and the opportunity. There's opportunities in every market, but if you're just looking at it at a like superficial level where you're just like reading about it online and you're just following whatever the next top 10 city list is, you're never going to have a deep enough relationships and knowledge in that market, I think, to be really successful. It's all just superficial. So Cleveland actually, all that being said, like Cleveland is having incredible growth right now. So I wouldn't worry about Cleveland.
All right. I love it. On to the last question. This is for listeners, anybody who wants to reach out to you. You've given us a lot of good advice for technology, implementing it in real estate. So what is the best way for people to reach out and say hi?
Yeah, I'm a pretty easy guy to get a hold of. You can go to kentritter.com. That's a very easy way, just my name. You can find me out there, and there's all types of resources. You can sign up for our newsletter. You can sign up to be an investor. There's just some free resources if you'd like to check them out, all kind of geared to helping passive investors really understand the process and make better investing decisions. Really the same thing with my podcast. It's called Ritter on Real Estate. You can find it everywhere you listen to podcasts. And the tagline is, passively investing like a pro. So it's just, again, how do you make better investing decisions? And I talk to the pros to get their tips.
Right on. I love it. I will get Kent's URLs and put them in the show notes. So if you want to reach out to Kent or listen to his podcast or invest in his projects, click that little more in the description. It'll pop down the full description. And in there, you can find the URLs, reach out to Kent and say hi. So Kent, loved having you on the show. Thank you very much for hopping on.
Yeah, thanks, Gabe. I had a blast today. Great questions. And it was a good time being here.
Sounds good. For everybody who's here with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason that we do this, so we appreciate having you here. As always, if you have any questions whatsoever, reach out to us at therealestateinvestingclub.com. Other than that, I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode as much as I enjoyed putting it on, and we're able to pull some actionable advice that you can apply in your own investing today in the field. Before you go, we have a gift for you. If you're a new investor looking to get started or an established investor looking to take your investing to the next level, I've created an ebook just for you, available on our website. This ebook will cover how I was able to create both active and passive income in real estate with very little money to start with. In it, I will address the 3 most often cited obstacles new and veteran investors run into by showing you how to find deals that are actually deals, how to finance a deal with little to no money down, and how to exit those deals for maximum value. And if you get the ebook today, I am throwing in a bundle of bonuses, 7 of them to be exact. The first one will be the off-market lead generation blueprint, which will take you through the exact systems and processes we use to generate off-market leads like clockwork, which is the most important skill when it comes to creating wealth in real estate. The second bonus is the A to Z REI systems and vendors guide, which will allow you to peek under the hood of our business and see the exact tools, systems, and even the vendors we use to see the success that we do. And the third bonus is the top 100 best performing keywords pack, which will give you the exact keywords we use to target motivated sellers online using PPC ads. The fourth bonus is our contracts bundle for wholesaling and renting real estate, which will give you access to all the contracts we use in the field to execute all different types of transactions. After that is the Investors Quick Analysis Calculator and Offer Tool, which will allow you to quickly calculate whether a deal is an actual deal and will allow you to create an offer automatically from those calculations. This is a lot of bonuses that I said. I'm just going to keep going down the list. Number 6 is the Investors Daily Success Tracker, which is a tracker you can use to ensure you are taking the right actions day in and day out to reach your financial goals in real estate. And the last bonus is the Wholesalers Template for Quick Assignment Cash, which will give you the templates we use to present our wholesale deals professionally and efficiently to our buyers. Whew, that is a bundle. So it's a mouthful. You get all of those bonuses for free when you download the ebook. All we charge is the admin cost to run the show. So if you're interested in the ebook and the bonus bundle, head on over to the website at therealestateinvestingclub.com. Click on Get the Ebook Bundle at the top of the page to take advantage of that deal. And with that said, I hope you have a fantastic day and even better week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.